process does the department engage in to determine which federal laws it will follow and which it will not?
Well, there's a presumption that we will apply and support any law that Congress passes. It is the rare instance where we make the determination that we will not.
We've been talking about the war on terror ever since you've had this job, right?
During confirmation, yeah.
Absolutely. And I really, I want to congratulate you and the president. I think you've thought long and hard about how to defend the homeland in very difficult circumstances. I want to applaud your efforts with the drone program. I think it has really helped us in Afghanistan and Pakistan. And I just believe it's a tactical tool that this president should be using, and I think he's using it responsibly. Now, as to the homeland, is Al-Qaeda actively involved in recruiting American citizens to their cause?
Flake was not here.
American citizens? Yeah, I certainly know of efforts that Al-Qaeda has made to recruit American citizens. I can assure the public,
and we won't disclose, that the Al-Qaeda organization is actively involved in seeking American citizen support. In every war we've had, unfortunately, American citizens have sided with the enemy. They've been few in number, but that does happen. Is that correct?
It does happen occasionally.
As a matter of fact, we had American citizens helping German saboteurs who tried to blow up infrastructure in the United States in World War II. You're familiar with that stuff?
Those cases were tried right down the hall from my office.
They were tried right down the hall. So it's a long-standing proposition in American law that an American citizen who joins the forces of our enemies can be considered an enemy combatant. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
So the point I'm trying to make is that hypothetically, if there are Patriot missile batteries around this Capitol and other key government infrastructures to protect the Capitol from an attack, it would be lawful for those batteries to launch. Is that correct?
To launch
against the threat. If there was intelligence that an airplane was coming toward the Capitol or the White House, it had been hijacked.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It would be okay for our military to act, wouldn't it?
Yes.
That'd be an imminent threat. The military has legal authority under the Constitution and the authorization to use military force to strike back against Al-Qaeda. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, when we say Congress gave every administration the authorization to use military force against Al-Qaeda, we didn't exempt the homeland, did we?
No, I don't think we did.
Wouldn't that be kind of crazy to exempt the homeland, the biggest prize for the terrorists, to say, for some reason, the military can't defend America here in an appropriate circumstance?
No, I think that's right. The question, obviously, is what forces do we use, but I think we have that authority.
And I totally agree with you that the likelihood of capture is very high in America, and that we have a lot of law enforcement agencies available, and that we would put them out front. But certainly, most law enforcement agencies I know of don't have Patriot missile batteries. So that's a good example of where the military can provide capacity to protect the homeland against a terrorist act that law enforcement can't.
And that would be the rare case, but it was in the letter that I sent to Senator Paul. It's one of the reasons why I referenced September the 11th.
Let's go back in time. What would we all give to have those Patriot missile batteries available on September the 10th, 2001 in New York and Washington? It would have meant that we'd have lost a plane load of American citizens, but we'd save thousands more. That's the world in which we live in. And I want to stand by you and the president to make sure that we don't criminalize the war, and that the commander-in-chief continues to have the authority to protect us all. And I've got a lot of my colleagues who are well-meaning, but there is only one commander-in-chief in our Constitution. Do you agree with that?
Well, that's true. And the situation that you described on September the 11th was, I guess, among the most difficult decisions that President Bush, Vice President Cheney had to make to give that order.
And I think it was appropriate. Never put in that position, but I want you to know from Senator Graham's point of view that you have the authority, in my view, from the Constitution, the authorization to use military force to take such actions. And I know you will if put in that position.
Thanks, General Holder, for joining us. Last month, I joined a bipartisan group of senators in sending a letter to your department asking for any and all memoranda that you might have that seek to provide legal justification or a legal framework for making decisions regarding the targeted killing of American citizens using drones. The letter noted that senior intelligence officials have indicated that your department's Office of Legal Counsel had prepared some written but non-public legal opinions that articulate the basis for that authority. And notwithstanding that request, neither I nor other members of this committee have received the OLC memoranda. Now, somebody indicated earlier during this meeting that they thought that memo, that the OLC memo might have been leaked. It is not my understanding that that has been. What has been leaked is something that has been released by NBC News. I know that only because it carries a heavy NBC News watermark on it, as a Department of Justice white paper on the issue, which appears to provide a narrower, perhaps more condensed legal analysis than what's available in the DOJ Office of Legal Counsel memoranda. So I want to turn back to the white paper in a minute, but first on the OLC memoranda, don't you think that this committee has an important oversight role over the Department of Justice's role in this analysis?
Yeah, I do, and I've heard the committee express the desire to see these memoranda, and I will be carefully, but I will be bringing that to the attention of the appropriate people within the administration. I'm not unsympathetic to what you are saying.
Okay. You are the Attorney General, and I assume that they will respect what their boss has to say. Are you saying that you'll make that available to us as members of the Judiciary Committee?
What I'm saying is I will bring that desire and my view to the, and not saying my view to those who are in a position to make those kinds of determinations.
Okay.
I'm only one of
Right.
those people.
I understand. You do have clients within the government, and you have to consult with them. I would strongly urge you to make that pitch quickly and as forcefully as you can. I think that's important for us to review that as members of the Judiciary Committee, which has oversight over your department. One of the reasons why I think that's so important is that as I've reviewed this Department of Justice Office of Legal Counsel, actually we're not sure where exactly within the department this memorandum came from, but the white paper, as I review that, it actually raises more questions in my mind than it answers. The gist of this white paper, as I see it, says that the U.S. government may in fact target and kill American citizens using drones where there is an imminent threat of a national security sort to the United States, its citizens, its installations, and so forth. Now, that is a fairly familiar standard. It is a somewhat familiar standard in the law, and yet, as you read on in this white paper, it becomes apparent to me that the definition of imminence used in this paper is different than almost any other definition I've seen. In fact, on page 7 of the white paper goes so far as to suggest that imminence doesn't really need to involve anything imminent. Specifically, it says that this condition, that of imminence, that an operational leader present an imminent threat of violent attack against the United States, does not require the United States to have clear evidence that a specific attack on U.S. persons and interests will take place in the immediate future. So I have to ask, Mr. Attorney General, sir, what does imminence mean if it doesn't have to involve something immediate?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the problem is what you talked about in the previous question. I think that white paper becomes more clear if it can be read in conjunction with the underlying OLC advice. I mean, in the speech that I gave at Northwestern, I talked about imminent threat, and I said that it incorporated 3 factors: a relevant window, opportunity to attack, the possible harm that missing the window would cause to civilians, and third, the likelihood of heading off all future disastrous attacks against the United States. So that's a part of it. But I do think, and without taking position one way or the other, it is one of the strongest reasons why the sharing of the opinions, the advice, the OLC advice with this committee makes sense.
You can understand my concern here as a lawyer who really knows a lot about these things. You understand how that standard, if that were the standard, could be manipulated, could give Americans a lot of pause. So another reason for me to strongly encouraging you to make that available to us. There are other aspects of the white paper that also trigger this concern, and I'd like to ask you about those as well to find out whether your response to that is the same. The white paper notes that the president must find, in order for a drone attack on a U.S. citizen to occur, that the president must make a finding that capture of the individual is not feasible. But then the white paper goes on to state that capture is, by operation of the memo's analysis, not feasible if it could not be physically effectuated during the relevant window of opportunity. Now, the paper makes no definition, makes no attempt to define what the relevant window of opportunity is, meaning, I suppose, that it's whatever the president decides that it is. Can you understand how that could be cause for concern? And isn't that fraught with opportunities for manipulation?
Well, I mean, I think there is a certain degree of objectivity there, in the sense that people become potentially capturable in overseas venues at certain times, and they become that window of opportunity ceases to exist when perhaps they move or we lose track of them. So that I tend to understand.
Okay, so do I understand you saying that the Office of Legal Counsel memorandum, which we have not had the opportunity to review, would also provide further clarification on this point and would answer some of the questions we have about the vagueness, the overbreadth of that standard?
That one I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure.